Did you want to just keep it the way it is?
Oh, it depends on how warm winter we get with everything else, but it didn't look like much.
No, doesn't look like much. Okay, all right, no changes to the agenda? No? All right, we will go to members of the public. There's no scheduled members, but we have an unscheduled members. Bob Harness, welcome to the Brookline Select Board meeting. What can we do for you this evening?
What you want is this?
I forget I have to unmute.
Oh, there you go. Hi, Bob, how are you this evening? What can we do?
Thank you, thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah, I came to Vermont in 1964 to buy a business in the Rutland-Killington area. And I'm now retired and never wanted to leave Vermont. So anyway, with that preface, I give our thanks to you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving us a chance to be on your meeting tonight. I'm here with my colleague Al Wakefield, who I expect will tune in shortly, to say a few words about an initiative that we think is important to Vermont and every town in it. And that is our effort to encourage Vermont and all its cities and towns to be more welcoming of diverse peoples and hopefully more successful economically. We're here to talk about a simple statement by the leadership of a town that they want their town to be a welcoming and unbiased place where everyone is made to feel that they belong. We call this the Declaration of Inclusion, which at the moment 72 towns and cities have adopted. And the population in those 72 towns, represent 51% of the state's population. Here are some words from what we call the Declaration of Inclusion.
Bob, can I mention to you that we do have that on our agenda this evening to sign and approve? We have the declaration in front of us.
Oh, very good, very good. Well, you don't need all my comments then.
It was brought to our attention by a resident, Chris Webb, at last month, and we put it on the agenda, and we will be covering that probably around 7 o'clock. We're going to sign it.
Okay, I see it. I understand, and I didn't realize that it was already on your agenda.
It is.
So, did you have any questions for me before you discuss that, or I will stay on while you discuss it, and my friend Al Wakefield probably will be with us as well.
Stan Noga?
Yes, Bob, thank you for being here today. I was kind of curious as to where does this go after it's approved by the town? And what agency or entity will be orchestrating it or involved with it? Is it yourself or what is your group called? Is this only Vermont or is it going to be countrywide?
Well, we'd love to see it countrywide, but at the moment it's Vermont only. That is our interest, and it's our interest partly, from a moral point of view, but also from an economic point of view, because Vermont's population is stagnant and aging, and this is not a good combination for the economic vitality of the state. But to answer your initial question, you are quite right. Where does this go after you approve it? What does it mean? Is it just words on paper? And the answer is no. We look for towns to do what we call implement the document. which simply means implementation can take many forms. And one of the simplest forms is to put it on your website, for example. Another way to implement it is to, print it out and have it on the wall in the town clerk's office. I mean, simple things like that. But ultimately, the goal is to try to get everyone in the town to understand that this is the will of the leadership of the town to make the town more inclusive, more diverse, where people feel that they belong and are welcome. And to do this, we have published a guide on our website, a guide to implementation, and you may have our website already. It's VT Declaration of Inclusion.org. In addition to that, the Vermont League of Cities and Towns has published a toolkit for towns to help them kind of navigate the various possibilities in implementing the declaration. So, and in addition to that, the Vermont Community Foundation, I mean, there need not be really any or much expense to this. Some expense might come if you wanted to do, say, bias training for the town employees and perhaps the town volunteers, and that would require probably hiring a consulting firm to do that. But to get to my point, the Vermont Community Foundation has $200,000, and they're willing to parcel it out in amounts of up to $10,000, which towns can apply for. But as I say, there need not be any expense. I mean, things like, well, we have suggestions on our website. One of the things would be for perhaps a group of like yourself or a committee that you might appoint to look at the town ordinances, the town hiring practices, and protocols, if you will, and just see if there's any bias kind of tucked in between the words of those documents, and try to make those documents more unbiased. So that's the kind of things that we're talking about. And also to just get the word out among the general population that this is the way you want the town to go. You're looking to the future of the town. You want the town to be economically viable. If you can gently increase the population of the town, that increases your tax base.
If the select board members don't mind, I could like to change and move this up. We can incorporate this this declaration at this time, so not to wait.
Sounds fine to me.
All right, we'd like to hang on. I'd like to make a motion that the town of Brookline sign the Declaration of Inclusion. The town of Brookline condemns racism and welcomes all persons regardless of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, gender identity or expression, age or disability, and wants everyone to feel safe and welcomed in our community. As a town, we formally condemn all discrimination in all of its forms, commit to fair and equal treatment of everyone in our community, and will strive to ensure all of our actions, policies, and operating procedures reflect this commitment. The town of Brookline has and will continue to be a place where individuals can live freely and express their opinions. May I have a second on signing the Declaration of Inclusion?
So,
Seconded by Mr. Bruce Mello. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor of signing as representatives for the residents of Brookline, this Declaration of Inclusion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion has passed. I will date this November 2nd, 2022, and I will affix my signature and pass it for the other two select board members to also sign. I think it's a very simple but important statement. I do believe that this leadership here in Brookline is one of inclusivity, and I certainly agree that this is a good idea, and we're glad to join the 72 other communities. Thank you very much, Bob, for your
Well,
time and giving a little bit more detail and personalizing this agenda. I will.
Well, thank you very much. And if possible, and perhaps through Chris, we'd like to have a copy of with your signatures on it for our records. That would be great.
Absolutely. I know Chris, and I can make a copy of it and get it into his hands this week.
Very good. Thank you so much. And I might say in closing, I certainly admire your trestle table that you're working from. It's a spectacular bit of wood. And
It was made by a selectman in the past, I think from Brookline.
wow,
Nelson, yeah, it was nice, huh?
very impressive. And thank you very much for your prompt attention to this. And please let Chris know that we're available in any way that you need us in the future.
Well, thank you again for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Any other members of the public that wish to speak? Peter, you have a question?
Yeah, if would you send me the text, because I think you made it part of the motion.
I will send you the text. I'll write it down here, the declaration. Send to Peter. All right, very good. All right, so then we shall move on to accounts payable. Okay, no. Okay, we have accounts payable. Now, I'm a little concerned here with this accounts payable. I know, Stan, you had some conversation with Judy about the $60 reimbursement, which she has on a second item here.
Yes.
But she also, I guess, did Guide's Hands attend town fair?
He apparently did. I didn't
Okay, so-
realize that.
Okay, so that was the 117.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, well, I could have paid 117 if I went there and stayed that day and had lunch, dinner and.
Right.
Et cetera, but, and I'm thinking, I clearly indicated that I hadn't done that.
Right,
So I
that was
had no idea
confusing.
where it came from.
Okay. All right, I'd like to make a motion that we approve accounts payable warrant 2318 dated November 2nd, 2022 in the amount of $8,014.39. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Doga. Any discussion? Other than that, no discussion. All those in favor of approving payroll warrant, accounts payable 2318 for $8,014.39 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, your motion passes. I'll pass this around for your signatures. While
Sorry,
you're
was that
looking-
8,014.49?
39.
39,
49, thank you.
like my age. Okay.
You're not Jack Benny.
I'd also like to make a motion to approve accounts payable warrant 2318A in the amount of $60. May I have a second? Seconded by Bruce Mello. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving payroll warrant 2318A in the amount of $60 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes. I'll pass this around for signature.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve payroll, the payroll warrant number 2317 dated October 26, 2022 in the amount of $1,836.38. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Noga. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving payroll warrant 2023-17 for $1,836.38 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes. Please sign. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the culvert policy. Stan, thank you very much. You retyped everything. Peter, yes, sir. Peter, you have a question?
Oh, sorry, it's a zombie hand.
We say zombie hands, is that what we said?
Thanks, Josh.
Halloween's over.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we had a culvert policy that we took a look at when the property up at Mike Masters replaced the culvert on Putney Mountain Road. And we noted, or Stan noted again, that it was not consistent. There's 15s and 18s written on it as far as this culvert size is correct. So Stan, I guess you found additional terminology for the culvert policy, probably on the VLTC page, or where did you?
Well, the original policy had a reference to a statute, 19 BSA, and it referenced two subchapters, 1108 and 1111.
Yes.
So I reviewed those and read them. There's a lot contained in it that most of which will probably never apply to us, but there were portions of each that applied. So I just referenced the specific title, chapter, and subchapters where necessary, and indicating that they actually applied not only to the documents attached as a part of this package, but as a general desire by the town to be aware of those and any other regulations and state statutes or codes that may apply to this situation. And the forms that were originally available were packed together very tightly. And if we're going over changes just briefly, the prior ones had or allowed an applicant for the property owner to file the necessary documents. I've had life experiences in the past where that kind of process has been involved, and it has created some issues where the owner of the property did not know certain things were being done. And so I decided to, for the board's review and the road commissioner and road foreman, to be aware of the fact that I required that the owner be the entity that filed the application, that received the notice of approval to proceed, and received the permit. So that took out some space. I basically, from a structural standpoint, put the crux of this in an overview on what was the cover page, and referenced the fact that in the documents that portions of the cover page applied to the three documents that are involved in the process. Secondly, from a log standpoint, when I've gone to other towns as part of my bank and appraisal work, there's typically a log showing a permit number, whether or not it was approved. And so in most of them, you see approved, occasionally you see declined, but there's a record of it. And the way this was drawn up, it didn't assign a number until it was voted to be proceeded on. So I thought that for purposes of documentation and thoroughness, I implemented and referenced the fact that a document number or a permit number was applied from the start, and at some point, depending on the status, was converted to a permit number. So I think, and again, I would ask the select board to review it. I apologize for sending it at the last minute. And I would also be interested if the board decided to do this, have our road foreman and road commissioner review it themselves as well, to express any thoughts, opinions, or desires about it. I think it's, well, I wrote it, so I'm biased, but I'll let others comment on it. Those were the basic changes, at least. But the way it was set up before, you kind of had to guess that,
I saw, yeah.
yeah, this one preceded this one and so forth. And there was no time frame stated. I mean, in theory, you know, this could have gone on for half a year. What I built into it is a time frame that each document received by the town for action must receive action by the town and advisement of the property owner within 30 days. So that there's an assurance that with the end of 90 days, the property owner will have a date by which they'll have the answers to any concerns about an access permit they need for their driveway.
I went through it compared to the old one, and it's certainly superior in the way it's formatted. I do appreciate, we should probably then send it to Mark and.
I've done that,
Oh, you have?
yes,
I haven't heard, we haven't heard back.
probably won't right away. I mean, you know, it's,
Okay.
I just got it today.
Okay, so put it on the, I'm gonna table this and put this on the agenda for approval at the next meeting.
Right,
Okay,
that's my suggestion,
perfect.
to be fair to everybody.
No, I thought it was well done, thank you
I
though.
noticed one thing. Is there such a thing as a 15-inch culvert?
Yes.
There is.
Well, yes.
Kind of moderate size.
I have no idea. What I noticed is on the cover page of the last one, it said 15 inches. When you got into the original application, it said 18 inches. So I have no idea which one applied.
18 is really
We do
as
have
wide as
15-inch culverts on many areas, driveway culverts. I think Mark would prefer for
18.
me, for issues 18, but that would be the item that they might need to say, let's change the 15 to 18 consistently. And
Yeah.
so I'll remind Mark.
The only advantage nowadays, as opposed to when I put my road in the 80s, they're not corrugated anymore on the inside of the culverts. They're smooth.
Yeah,
So, which is great because you really don't get the clogging issues that you used to have with corrugated. It's all smooth, just like this.
yeah,
On the
great.
inside of the culvert.
That's
It's
wonderful.
easier to clean out.
The only other point I'd mention is that there was a little confusion with the title page previously. It was unclear as to whether upon the first installation of a culvert to a driveway, whether the homeowner paid for just the culvert or whether it was also paying for the labor. And so I made it quite clear that the first installation is the responsibility of the homeowner. And thereafter, the town has possession and any, and responsibility for maintaining and replacing.
That's correct. If it's a new home and they put in a new, they get asked for a driveway access permit, they put in the culvert, they pay for it 100%. And years down the road, if it's repaired, then we repair it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will do that. I will put that on the agenda for the culvert and check with the 15 versus 18 inches and
Okay.
make sure Mark and Archie, you can have some comment. Okay, so we did move the Vermont declarations, so now we're down to Wyndham Regional Contracts. So maybe I shouldn't have done C and D because the GI grants and aid,
Which number are we in?
we are on 6C and D. Was one of the things.
Okay, there must be another one. I don't have a six. I have a 6A, B, and another B. And the first, the A is culvert, the B is declaration of inclusion, and the next B is budget.
Oh, no, you must have,
You must
you
have
had me updated the
preliminary
font.
draft.
Remember I updated the here, here's an updated one.
Thank you. Can you spare this or?
Yeah, no,
I
that's
make
the
a
second
copy? Okay. Oh, all right.
Because I put in
Oh,
those
okay.
suggested topics that you asked about.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And so we are where?
Six,
Wyndham Regional Contracts?
C and D, Wyndham Regional Contracts and Grant and Aid.
Let's see. I don't know. In light of the fact that we voted to not pursue, or instead another way, to terminate our grant on the sand and salt shed, I wonder if this would be an opportune time to sign the letters that I prepared
Send that.
to send out. I have a copy blank with me dated today. One is addressed to Joseph Flynn, the Secretary of the Vermont Agency of Transportation, by VSA 19, subchapter 309CA.
Okay.
That is, he will be making the decision relative to the state as to what costs, if any, the state will assess us. And then there's a letter to Christopher Hunt, who was the project manager, Roman numeral 1, for this project with Wyndham Regional. He's been involved readily along with Margot Gia. And then I have a third letter addressed to Christopher Campy, Executive Director of Wyndham Regional, and also it's sent to Margot Gia as well. It's one letter addressed to both, indicating our withdrawal. We did not talk last time about an effective date, but looking at the fact that they're probably going to need to get a number as to what's owed for the engineer, and any other wrap-up time that Wyndham Regional may need to spend. Those are going to be costs that we will incur. There's about a $15,230 bill, which in its original estimate was for the entire job by the engineer. I'm not sure what percentage of that is completed, so
We'll find out.
those numbers we will have some responsibility for, if in part, if not fully. And again, the statute that I referred to is very, very vague. It doesn't indicate the criteria. It just kind of is whatever that guy decides is what the cost is going to be for the state. So if we're still on that course, everyone's still in agreement to do it, I would suggest this is an opportune time. I can then scan each one in as a signed document and email it to each of the people tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay.
since this was moved and voted on at the last meeting,
Yeah,
this
so-
doesn't need to.
Right. No further
Yeah,
action.
thank you for
I think
the,
the quicker we do it, the quicker.
I did tailor each one to the individuals to whom it was addressed. So it's reminding each one of them as to what our concerns are in terms of what the expenses might be. And I indicated, I didn't finish my thought. I indicated December 31st of 2022 as our target termination date.
What's that?
why, and then they have to, 6 months from that or 30 days, is that?
No, they have, Wyndham Regional has 15 days from the receipt of the letter. It doesn't say exactly when the Secretary of the Vermont Transportation Agency must respond. What it only says is from the day he makes a decision, he has 30 days to notify, 15 days to notify the town of Brookline as to his decision.
Um,
So I have no time frame for that, but when I consider that one of the individuals to whom money will be owed is the engineer in my 18 months now of involvement has never replied to any inquiry made of him by Wyndham Regional Commission.
Mhm.
So I am assuming the urgency of this and that we're putting a deadline on it and we're withdrawing from it will prompt that individual to respond to Wyndham Regional to allow the necessary calculations to be done. That's why I didn't make it the end of this November. I made it the end of December because it's,
You made it to the end of December?
yeah,
Well, that's in fair time enough because we're working on a budget.
That's right.
Plus, with that consideration.
okay.
Rather than
Okay,
being
so this will be
end of
sent
February.
out tomorrow morning, if not this evening, if I have enough energy to go.
Other than having a thing in February.
I know, yes, I am.
No, I said,
Oh.
I said, other than having it at the end of February,
Oh,
and then
okay.
we're sitting here with a bill, and then we've already got a budget through, and then we'd have to bring it to the. So bad.
Oh, let's see, this is the new one. Okay, so we've done Wyndham Regional
Right.
and the sign contract with GI 274 grants and aid. That
I
that
have,
has been done, I
has
believe.
it been done? All right, because I received just yesterday, although.
Oh, it is yes, we received this contract back. It is now signed by all participants. I
Okay.
sent the signed copy to Judy to be filed. And I believe I put it in that same file cabinet with the rest of the documentations yesterday as well myself. So that's done.
Let me ask you this, I received dated November 1st from Jeff Nugent, from, hello, Wyndham Regional Road Foreman and Town Office Support Staff. And it's about the 2023 fiscal year grant and aid program, being fully managed by V-Trans, and that Wyndham Regional is able to offer assistance for their grants and aid project. And if you'd like technical assistance from Wyndham Regional, for their grants, review fill out and sign and return something. So I guess I didn't print out the form. Did you get this?
I saw that and I wonder how you all feel about it. You may have questions for
I
me.
guess I didn't.
We have already applied for that grant. We've already received it. The tentative paperwork we have received. I believe we've signed our part. I think it's that 274, I believe, is the one for next fiscal year,
Yes, next year.
2024.
So
We need to do some work to prepare for continuing its processing with the state and do all the preliminary stuff.
should we put this on the?
I don't know how you all feel about it. There's a cost to doing it. I have never done it before. And so, the easiest thing for me to say is pay him the $1,200 and allow him to basically look over his shoulder while he's doing it. I was going to try it on my own because I thought, yeah, there is a significant amount of follow-up, but it's unclear to me whether that $1,200, if we were to go that route, covers the whole process or only part of it. So I wasn't prepared to answer the question or deal with it, but if you want to table it to the next meeting, I will ask him the appropriate questions and then think about it and let you know, hopefully more than the day before or day of the next meeting.
Right, and I didn't print out the supportive work request, so let's table this.
I do have it on my machine. And I will remember to review that.
All right, that was good, thank you.
Yeah.
The next item on the list is the BRIC 2020 grant. As suggested by Wyndham Regional, I did request a template. They say it's to update the local hazard mitigation. I have gotten a response. I have gotten a sample of the template to use. before I do any of this, I was going to ask Stan or Bruce, there is a 15-minute online survey. I would like to do I was gonna do it by myself. And I would prefer one or the other or both of you to sit with me while we go through that survey so that I may not have an answer. It's on litigation and concerns, so I don't know if Bruce or Stan. If
When did you want to do it?
My schedule's pretty open.
Okay, when did you have to get it done by?
They did not say they would like it, they would have liked it done already. But,
We have to approve it by at the next meeting.
no, it's services, the service should take about 10 to 15 minutes to complete and will assist us in the assessment of our needs. It's to meet the federal code of federal regulations, the Department of Public Safety Grant Management Programs must perform a financial risk assessment. So follow the link to complete a short survey. So it's a short survey, it's a Department of Public Safety Risk Survey.
I can do it with you tomorrow.
Okay, I have,
I would go something shop.
I won't be back from Brattleboro until the afternoon,
Okay, so much for that.
so I can do it tomorrow afternoon.
You say it's 15 minutes?
Says 15 minutes.
Let's see, I could do it tomorrow morning. If you
I have an
want.
11 o'clock appointment.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess
I can
we're-
come in
we're-
early.
we're
I mean,
looking- when did you plan on doing?
well, that's an inspection.
2 o'clock?
Yeah,
1 o'clock?
yeah,
3
it's
o'clock?
an inspection, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I can come in here at 10 o'clock or
Okay.
quarter of 10.
Is that what
I can do that.
Let's come at 9:45 or 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Okay.
We'll go through the assessment and then it will be done. All right, so, 10
So I have to
a.m.
go over to Susan after that,
Thursday.
do some drawing.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that help in that.
Chief or the wall? Chief
Okay.
or the wall?
Well,
All right, so now we're gonna move on to the budget meeting. General budget line items.
oh, can I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
I didn't really pay attention to that much at the beginning. I kind of thought that maybe we should do that. We can do it at the end of 5, get all that other stuff out of the way. That will loosen up for what we need to get all this done, which.
Well, that's why I asked. you.
I know I didn't catch it. Well, if we can't change it, then we can't change it. Yeah, it's that big of a deal.
I think it's important to get the budget. We're gonna start the budget at this time. Let's work on budget. And we figure a good half hour, so about 7:45, we
Okay.
should move on to the rest of it. 7:45, 10 and 9, 10 to 8, something along those lines.
If it's, Mark's not here, I have nothing basically. It's-
Right, so that will be through that.
Okay. All right, if I can read this, that would be great.
All right, so we're gonna talk about the budget.
Stay on the carry.
I'm glad you're eating them, because what is not used, I'll just leave with Guy and Glenn, we give customers.
Oh, yeah, they got one.
Yeah,
People.
our taxpayer dollars at work.
All right,
All right,
so we were given, from Melissa. Everybody has a copy from Melissa, okay. I always have a hard time reading the size print.
Sure,
It's really difficult.
I can read. Squint.
And I'm not sure if we just wanted to, like, have some. I'd like to, it's just select word and giving me some advice on the best way to go through this. Are we going to? First, you had mentioned throwing out some things on the table and working on them, and I mean, I have information on the article for appointing a treasurer or.
No, I was speaking to, in reference to ARPA money. where
Okay.
it's not budget.
So we're gonna just go down the line items?
I would think, we have a different situation right now, because we don't have guys standing there discussing every item. So we're gonna have to use our own discretion when it comes to the general.
Let's take a look at the agenda. I have a couple things on it. Help from the Treasury Office with the budget. What kind of help can we ask of Melissa to come and sit with us?
I was hoping she would have been here tonight.
It's the accuracy of the numbers, Dan, is.
Well,
that's
it's
all I'm
not
saying.
only that, there needs to be some planning. And some guidance offered.
With
And,
respect to what?
Well. This apparently, this has been, and apparently it's been since I've been involved with the cash home presentation. I noticed that it doesn't generally have the liability side containing all the liabilities that in fact the town has. Right, filling it out at this time, not knowing whether we.
Oh, I see.
We're gonna have those numbers, I think we're gonna owe the state, we may owe Wyndham Regional.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Those gotta be built in. And. So you probably, if you've gone back and looked at prior town reports, we had a surplus in 2020.
Right,
But the very next year, we apparently ended up in a significant deficit.
we did,
It looks like it if you go by the town report.
I don't think so.
No.
We gave back $30,000, I remember that to taxes, that's the only thing I remember.
Well,
Wait a minute, do I remember us?
we had on the town side, $2,576, I think, that was a surplus.
Surplus, I remember that.
Okay.
And
But
the
I
year
believe
before
on
was
the road
30,000.
side, we had a deficit.
Okay, just a minute, but the $30,000 is the year before, yes?
33,671 was the surplus from the year before.
Okay, so I'm with it. And so the $2,000 is just a general fund, you're saying the road fund was in the.
I believe it was in the hole.
Well, this is what you're getting at with the inclusion of the treasury, because of stuff that we're not up to speed on expenses that are coming, or.
Right.
What you're
Well, you
zeroing in
may, yeah, sort of, yeah, kind of. You may recall if you got the same email I did, that she made, the treasurer, the assistant treasurer, future treasurer made a comment
on.
that we're in the red, the red direction right now,
Right,
because we didn't budget enough previously. Okay, now that's a big deficit, and it doesn't indicate where the deficit truly happened and occurred to allow us to plan ahead, to know when and where
I know,
we need to
okay.
compensate for it.
I thought you was more like pertaining to the discrepancy because of FEMA, because of the hurricane.
Well,
Do I misunderstand that?
I think that's one of the
big part of
causes
it.
of, that's the cause of
There
our
was a
deficit.
large
If you look at this year's expenses for summer work,
Okay.
just from
Sure.
July to now, oh, that's amazing.
So we're asking that we need to formally invite the assistant treasurer to attend in person the next meeting if possible on the 16th of November.
Yeah.
But that's basically, we're basically talking road fund, not so much general fund, really.
Primarily, yes, primarily,
So we
yes.
could go through the general fund and get a bunch of roads in here.
The
too.
fund number one,
Pardon me?
the listed, the general town fund. number
you're
one,
saying-
yeah.
Fund one, that's the income is first. So I guess we can just,
Those I think we can pretty much do, because
Right.
many of these are just under here, under there, yeah.
Yeah,
And we can leave blank those that are the issue.
right, and also, if we had starred asterisk questions when we get Melissa.
we can make our
involved,
notes and be more specific.
and she will be able to help us. do
Right,
it.
we can actually send her the questions ahead of time.
Right,
so she can
good idea.
Look that up.
Yeah, okay,
All right, so
Do you wanna
we take
look
a
through
look at fund, we're gonna we don't have anything from taxes or delinquent taxes
right.
again. We don't know about the penalties, but they're assuming that there's $1,200, okay. Interest, current use, state per parcel. Refuge, revolving, sharing, what is this?
Revenue sharing, refuge. Why my thoughts sound like shit? Refuge, revenue sharing, maybe I should say, refuge, whatever, refuge revenue sharing?
Not sure what
I
that
don't
is.
know what that DE is at the end there.
What account number is it?
1-6-02020.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is, but it's a something that we would collect.
I don't want to think I'm looking here.
It's, yeah, I can remember there was a brief description about it. It's a minimal item and it's more of a pain in the tush than anything else.
Okay,
And so it's a minimal significance.
so we'll just looking through here, well, I put a question there, but clerk fees at $4,400, dog licenses approximately $500 revenue, fishing licenses, looks like they don't plan for too much of that.
Uh-huh.
Copy revenue, 1,250, civil unions, probably one license, birth and death certificates.
Mhm.
Looks like there's $100 at anticipated, records restoration, $1,600. This was a question that, Melissa had, that it should be organized in a different way. This is what Gwen does, is that what she's doing, photocopying records, restoration records?
Uh-huh,
So this is a
yes.
question that,
$1,600.
yeah, this is a question, and I want Melissa might have a different way of hand. She said it was very difficult the way it's currently handled, it's a lot of trading off into different
Well,
accounts.
We're all into making her job easy, sure it's not.
Probably would like to handle that a little bit differently.
She came up with these figures for the budget?
I didn't come up with them.
I know.
All the numbers in the first
Are
three
the same as
columns
the previous?
are what we have previously decided.
Okay,
The last column over is what we wish to make it for the
Okay.
upcoming year, fiscal year
Okay.
24.
right, this budget now is what the last column is, okay,
This last column should be a presentation of what the final tally of revenue was in Fund 1 from the municipal side. So we'll know we can compare the final for 2020. No, we're in the middle of 2023. That's what we budgeted for 2023. I'm sorry. And we're not gonna have that number until next June. So I guess we're gonna have to use outdated data from 2022 and in the process, reference it with the current reports as of month end 9/30 as to what the level of our budget was at that time. I've got one here dated 10/21.
you're talking about in fund 1 in its entirety.
Fund 1 in its entirety revenue wise,
Uh-huh.
looks like we budgeted $1,168,707 for this year. You know, what is our rate of increase for the following year? So probably that would be something to talk with
And
Melissa
that's
briefly about.
And that's noticeably higher than the previous 2 years. Should be noted. I'm not looking at every item here. But I see the current use went up $2,000, you can see that. Like my glasses.
These are revenues, money coming in.
Right,
Okay.
And
I'm
remember,
sorry.
the third column is
Reversing it.
budgeted, it's not actually what we've got.
Right.
And I believe the 10,000 number is probably the one that's gonna be more accurate, rather than the 12 that was budgeted.
For the current
The current
use.
use.
Right. So that would be, in general, we'll just ask Melissa, what's the best way of analyzing this Fund 1?
So what
revenue?
you're saying is the budget for 23 is still like, as to whether it really is accurate or not.
The listers will probably be the source of information regarding the current use, because they're gonna know between last year's budget calculation and this year's budget calculation, whether there have been more parcels added to the current use properties, or whether there were any taken out.
Mhm.
And that will give a clue as to whether or not we should be looking at using a lower number or a higher number. It's statewide, Vermont has experienced a dramatic withdrawal of property from the current use program. I forget the data that I was reading the other day, but it was like an amazing number of
Because
properties.
we put it into conservation.
Is that the reason?
Well, the conservation of sorts.
Right,
Yeah,
well,
and
we've agreed that 600 acres can go to this,
You say we, you mean,
the town approved the certain lands.
well, the town
donated to-
doesn't really approve it, they get it all done through the state. The state then turns around and tells us, this is what has come in, we approved it, we can't refuse to do that.
I'm sorry, I was thinking about the land that was donated to preservation people.
Oh, you have all, yeah.
Yeah, like Winchester,
But it could have been already in the current use program, so transferring it over to something like the Pinnacle Hill or
That's what it
whatever
was.
may not change that at all.
Okay.
But I don't know, I don't think it does, it's gonna carry with that property until such time a transfer is made and the new owner plans on using it for some other purpose than conservation. Pinnacle Hill keeps it in conservation, so my guess is, again, the number that we're gonna have to, there's actually a report the listers get annually. And we need to ask Helen Holt if the number outstanding in acres is very similar in terms of the owners, the locations, and number of properties. Is it pretty much stable? If it is, no change up or down, then we'll know we're looking at not having to make a $2,000 correction next year, because we'll be accurate this year.
Well,
All right, so we,
okay.
yeah, I think we can move along. I think these are for fund one, the revenue, how to address it, the listers, current use landowners, those would be things to work on asking. All right, the next set of columns here, when the school tax expenses, we have here the select board salaries, 6,000 stipends, I should say, $6,550. Town clerk, 24,790.
Did we come up with 6,550 for select board when David was here? For
Yes, he
four
did not
people?
take, he did not take his money last year,
He did not,
correct.
okay.
He did not accept the
Okay.
stipend, that's why that's why the difference in the 5,350.
So you're getting roughly $4,000 for your job as chair? I didn't think so.
She's cutting wood. man.
Because I'm only getting $1,250, you're getting $1,250, that's $2,400.
They budget for 5 people
Yeah.
and it's 500.
Oh, I see, okay,
We're supposed to have 500.
regardless of what, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
$4,000.
It's
No,
late.
Oh, you're getting 17 or 17.
17.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm getting $500 more as the chair.
Right.
That's
And we're
it.
getting 1250? Or we get 12? I don't know.
It's $12.25 or $12.50, what's a quarter of it?
Not really, so it's 24. 24.
I don't need to.
Since we're on the
That's
line,
this
it might
number,
still be after
4,200, yeah, it's like 4,200, big difference. Couple thousand dollars.
Ah.
Or we could just take a raise and keep the budget the same. I don't like that. Don't tell anybody. That was a joke, everybody.
Let's move along. Town clerk shows here 24,795 is the budget for 2023. We have to talk at some point about if we're doing any changes to salaries. The treasurer has been budgeted at $9,500 this year. The delinquent tax collector has been budgeted for $4,000. The listers for $6,500.
Excuse me, delinquent tax collector is being done
Melissa.
by Melissa. God bless America. Go ahead.
Okay, election officials. It's budgeted at $400. I'm not sure, I think. In some cases, I thought we went way over that at one point, but I'm just gonna look down, assistant treasurer is listed at 11,500. Select board clerk, is $1,800.
So,
That's for Peter.
oh,
Animal control officers and $500 stipend,
sorry, Peter.
assistant town clerk, records
Records.
restoration is $1,664. Again, this was the one that Melissa was saying that it's sort of confusing to
Yeah,
handle in
because you
this
got money
way.
coming in, money going out. Same
Right.
thing, right?
Road commissioner stipend is 500, payroll taxes are estimated at 5650. Vermont SUTA expense, I'm not sure what that is, it's not budgeted here. Does anyone know what SUTA expense is?
Well, I just haven't included. We'll check mark and ask Melissa.
Okay,
It's some kind of tax, probably an unemployment tax.
I don't know. State unemployment tax
It's in that
assessment,
area.
probably state unemployment tax assessment.
And they only have one employee.
Excuse me. I have to apologize. I have to prepare for a rather long drive tomorrow, leaving at 4 in the morning. Would it be all right if I pick up the rest of this when I get back early in the week?
I think so, as long as we just record.
There's not going to be a lot, there's not a lot for me to write about this section. It's going to take quite a long time.
Right.
Good idea, Peter,
Yeah,
thank
'cause
you.
we're gonna be working on budgets for 20 more minutes before we do anything else, and you can
It's
certainly
not
watch
much
the
after that.
recording. That's fine,
Thanks.
Peter.
That'll keep
Drive
me
safe.
alert on the highway.
You can your coffee.
Where are you going?
I'm going to DC.
Oh,
Well, say hi to Joe.
yeah, my buddy.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right, payroll service fees at $1,800 to,
Okay.
for the set, obviously. Supplies and postage is 4,500. Town report expenses, it's been budgeted for $1,000, hoping that's enough. But for, planning committee, planning commission's may need to have some kind of an increase. We budgeted money, they haven't started, they need to start on that, but that's something to discuss. Elections grant, we don't get, I don't
Correct.
know
That was a
why.
one-time thing.
yeah, that,
It's nothing.
yeah, it's nothing. Abatements,
$500 to put in there. Do we have any from last year? As a builder? Well, last year was $4.98 actual. So if we budget $500, we were over budget. For $500. $490.
As long as it works out that way, I have no problem.
I always find a way to take it back.
okay.
We have it.
Legal notices are gonna be more expensive, I think, this year, because we have to put out so many RFPs, we may have.
Yeah, we've done a ton of that.
Yeah,
Yes, so I would think that that would be one area we're gonna, I don't know how much to suggest, but maybe we have to look at what we've already spent in the past 6
yeah,
months.
good idea.
But I think $600 is not enough. Seminars, I think. Seems to be
300.
appropriate, miles and travel expenses. Town office electric, Brookline Church electrics.
There hasn't been an increase, I don't believe, in kilowatt hour charge, so it's not the same.
Yeah, the town office pays around $80-90 a month, and the town shed and the meeting house pay about $20-25 a month. Town office telephone, something we can't change. We could ask, do we need to ask our town clerk for a recommendations for his budget ideas?
I would think that's appropriate.
Yeah, having him not come kind of begs the question, should we ask him? And whether he's expecting us to ask him. So might not be a bad, might not be a bad.
All right, we'll summarize this at the end, but this isn't, okay. Town fuel,
What did we sign on, Stan? Was it just over $4 a gallon? I don't know, we agreed.
I believe it was,
And we were.
$3.89 a gallon or something like
Yeah.
that.
that might have to go up a little bit based upon the year before, we may not have.
It was 700 some like gallons if I remember. Although it's been for one.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, any volunteer to look at that, go back and look at their costs and so forth? I got a copy of the contract at home,
I have the electric.
Yeah.
on my computer, but I don't have-
fuel agreement.
I asked for this once. Did they send it?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what the question is. Stan,
Stan wants to know how valid, how accurate the both fuel and electricity are from last year. Do I have that correct?
No, I was just looking at, we're saying we gotta look at this, we gotta look at this. And I'm just saying that, I guess I'm feeling it would be more helpful if a person took the responsibility of saying, I'll do that one. And if someone else says, you do
You want
this
us, you want me to look at the contract you mean,
one.
that you signed?
Whenever, I mean, I've got one at home. For the next meeting, I can simply look at it and,
All right, so yeah, I think that's what we're doing today. We're looking at what things that we have to focus more in depth on. So, the fuel contract would be definitely something I'll put on my list as well. Okay.
I mean, I know this is not, we've done a pretty good job, but I've been involved with so many other groups that you talk about something and no decisions are made as to who's gonna do it, when they're gonna do it, when they're gonna have answers by. And everybody leaves the meeting feeling really good until the next meeting happens.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
We will summarize before we move on,
Okay.
then close this out, what we're gonna look at.
Okay.
Now, again, these other costs, computer services and maintenance would be the town clerk would have to suggest.
Well, right, any of this stuff, he's gotta give us some kind of idea if he's gonna have an increase in spend, if he's expecting an increase in expenses.
Okay. Fire alarm, legal services, luckily we've been pretty good on that. Rescue services are flat, that was they did not change the rate for the rescue services, so that should be the same. The fire department, we haven't had a change in that in a couple of years. Mutual aid,
They haven't showed up yet.
okay.
10,000.
At 10,729 copier contract. Again, I'm not sure with the town clerk if these are, I'm putting TC next to it. These are questions that he might be able to answer for us. Now, I'm concerned about the way that the town property maintenance is on here. You notice it went from up to $7,331. And I'm just concerned that there's a discrepancy because I do believe that there's several several contracts for town maintenance. You have Bloom, which does Riverside Cemetery, which is supposed to come out of the Riverside Cemetery account. And then you have the baseball field, which comes out of town municipal property maintenance. And then you have the account for the ancient cemeteries, which is handled by Why Not Work. And that is subsidized $2,000 a year for the 4 or 5 cemeteries that he maintains. He also does the town hall and Round Schoolhouse. So I'm not sure why that. I'm not sure without our auditors providing a summary of the previous year's work, why that's $7,000. I think that there might be a mislabeling of the town property.
Okay.
So that would be a question to put on the list that Melissa would get preview before the next meeting, she might be able to answer. Town trash removal.
That was the $500 we procured for us.
Yes, but we haven't
Used it.
used it.
Was it for
Mark,
the downstairs stuff?
No.
although Mark Bills will collect trash that he picks up and take it to the dump. So I'm assuming that 500 would be, we have to ask. I would say trash.
Is there any reason why he didn't come to the
Yes, he sent an email that he's with his mother at the hospital.
Oh, really?
All right, VLCT
I'll get to
dues.
that later.
Okay,
That's a
VLCT
problem.
dues, we don't, again, something that gets sent, and then the Wyndham Regional Commission dues. I'm not sure when they arrive, when are dues billed? VLCC and Wyndham Regional Commission, okay. Nemrick, we know that licensing went up.
Need to contact the lister.
Yeah. Nemrick license, okay, that's a question. Landfill fees. With solid waste, I'm not sure what that landfill fee is. It's not recycling.
Yeah, if it's changed, because it didn't change, the scale stuff didn't change this year, I don't think. It's $40. But that's different.
Right, I'm not, I don't know what a landfill fee is.
I'm sorry to say. I think David,
Okay, that's another put on the question. Law enforcement, I would make sure that we have some money for law enforcement. It's $65 an hour. And we budgeted,
What do we do? We budget all, we don't have anybody to come.
no, but like when we had paperwork served to somebody, we hire the sheriff's department.
But you need $500.
We don't need $500 for it, I don't think, law enforcement in that respect.
it's probably a couple $100 too high, but I mean, you never know. We
I
avoided
think,
having
yeah,
that.
I think keeping it around,
Look at this, look at the Merrill Drive issue. You
yes,
know, we could have had services to a couple people, and we don't know whether their time starts from when they leave their post and get back. So you're talking half hour plus whatever difficulties they run into.
and law enforcement, we used to budget around $3,000, so this is a.
That's only because we had a contract with the state.
Right,
police.
and now they won't
Sheriff's
provide us with
Department.
any contracts, and the sheriff's department did send a letter that they will charge $65 an hour. For that, so this is close to 10 hours worth of work, so that would probably be maintainable. Okay, recycling collection, again, we put that as an article of $22,000 on there. I'm assuming we'll get some kind of summary on this.
Well, it says actual 13.8.
The year before, recycling went down, that is correct.
And it's budgeted for 22 this year.
There had to have been a reason. we
That's
said
quite a,
it.
what? What's that saying?
There must have been a reason why we increased it.
Well, we budgeted
I
27,
don't
and it
remember.
only cost 13.8,
Well, we
because they
took-
got more for
That's
selling.
That's part of the
So
surplus.
we budgeted, then went down to 22, we took $5,000.
Good memory, though.
So, this would be something to question.
Well, this is a question for, this guide, no, it's right for the treasury.
Right.
What we paid so far this year.
Correct. All right, insurance and bonds, $4,904. I'm not sure, if that's all sorts of insurance. Oh, there's
Melissa.
Melissa.
Whoa, overtime.
Hi, Melissa.
Hello, Melissa.
You'll have to unmute yourself.
Hi, how are you?
Hi,
Doing
Melissa.
yourself.
Overtime.
Overtime. Sorry I'm late.
I didn't mean it that way.
We are just
Whoa.
quickly going through, we're on the second page of the list, and we're just looking through some of the questions here.
Dot,
What?
excuse me, do you want to just go back and start from the beginning with
No,
questions?
I
that we
want to
had?
start.
You don't want to ask the questions that we've already figured out?
Oh, yeah, I can ask you questions.
And then this way you go right down the line, then you end up where you are.
Melissa, we had a couple of questions on one thing. With Fund One revenues, how do we address Fund One revenues as a budgetary item when we don't know if that revenue stream is going to change? Do we have any indication that revenue stream is going to change for the town of Brookline that we should be aware of?
As far as the first section on like state parcels per share and clerk fees and all those, or?
I guess so. Clerk fees, current use, we were questioning the current use changes. We're not sure what this refuge revenue sharing DE is, which is, well, it's only $100, but and we also, records restoration, didn't you feel that that could be better?
Yeah, those are kind of standard every year. Just kind of take the average of them because, I mean, they fluctuate a little bit. So what we always do, or I do, is just kind of get a sense of what the past few years were and roughly put it in there. It's unfortunately just a huge estimate. As far as the current use goes, that's always around the same unless you know somebody that's pulled out, that's pretty big.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've
That
already
comes from the
suggested
state.
that we talk with Helen Holt about that. She'll know if there's been any significant changes. The lister. I guess earlier, Dot mentioned that you might have had a new idea on how to handle the records restorative revenue and then the assistant town clerk records register. They're almost the same dollar amount. And they were swapped, it looks like they were swapped for each other. One income in, one income out. Are you comfortable with the way it's on the sheet?
I was gonna put the records restoration in its own fund, if you didn't mind, because that's kind of the way it's supposed to be, I believe. I mean, it's
Okay.
still, you can still leave the money where it's at, going into the money market, but it should be kind of listed out like its own fund, like the highway is.
Good.
Uh-huh.
What would that fund be called? Or
You can just call it the records restoration fund. Simple.
Right, okay,
She had through a couple of drinks before she came.
okay. All right.
I'm kidding.
Also realize that we should
Champagne.
probably ask the town clerk. I have on here after the current use asking Helen, but ask the town clerk for what recommendations in the budget that he might have. For expenses.
Right,
so-
yep.
All right, so now the next thing was, we have, go ahead.
Yeah, Melissa, in the past, we had guys standing there, of course, he's not here this year, because he did the videography. And he would adjust, well, I need, we should really think about 100 here more, 100 here. So we're at kind of a disadvantage now, because we don't do that way anymore. So we have to go back and like ask him what he thinks should be changed in the general fund, which we can't do without his input.
He's assistant treasurer, that's why you had that information.
Okay, well, sorry.
You may not, he just needs to be able to provide us with town clerk needs.
Yeah, right. That's kind of what.
Yeah, I only see his involvement in this, like, he's probably, given the high interest rates, noticing the downturn in the amount of refinances and the amount of purchases and sales.
Good
So
point.
the question then becomes, does he anticipate the same amount of activity and thus the same amount of income that he had last year? So, you know, those questions, I think we've already defined. There's some here that he needs to answer, and it's a matter of inviting him. And if he doesn't want to be here personally, maybe he can give us just look at send him a copy of this and say, fill in those that you feel pertinent to your
There
role.
you go.
And so that
Good idea.
he doesn't have to be after hours anywhere he doesn't want to be.
Yeah, right.
Well, listen, the next question we had on this list and under expenses, you were looking at the fuel costs. And whether or not we should increase the amount that we budget for fuel costs, even though we have a contract which limits the cost per gallon. Can you provide us with how many gallons we used in I don't know, what are we asking her to do for us?
I guess we're asking you to review the bills that have come in and figure out how many gallons we use per year. Or
Okay.
somebody make a phone call and say, how many gallons have we used last year? And then go with
Yep.
that based on the current rate of whatever we ended up signing up for, which might have been $3.89 or $3.69 or somewhere in there. We've got the contract, and one of us will review it and get back to you with what
I
that.
believe I already have that answer.
Okay,
I believe I already have that answer. I have to look.
All right.
Because I was considering talking about doing things to this building. There was grant, you can call it grant. Excuse me. There was,
So you have some documents that
You can provide us with
Yeah.
that.
I think,
Okay,
I'll look at it.
so you're gonna get back to Melissa with that and number and maybe.
Yeah,
copy us on
I'll
your
let you
email.
know, Melissa, if I've got that.
okay.
All right, Melissa, the next question came about, I had with town property maintenance. And
Yep.
the actual for for 2022 was up to $7,331 and change.
Yep,
Okay, we have, I think the monies are not coming out of the right accounts. I just wanted to review with you. There should be a standalone account called the Riverside Cemetery account, where monies collected from the sale of lots goes into, and the Bloom Landscaping mows it every other week, and that's this Riverside Cemetery. That should have, and it has 5 commissioners that oversee it. Then we have Why Not Work.
okay, so
Okay.
Bloom mows the cemetery and that should come out of the cemetery expense?
That's, okay, there's 2 cemetery columns though. There's the Riverside Cemetery, which is, whose revenue comes from sale of lots. And on occasion, historically, not recently though, the cemetery commission has asked the taxpayers to enrich that fund when they weren't selling as many plots and the cost of the mowing exceeded the amount of money that was going in. So that's one. The second thing that Bloom does, excuse me, is he mows the ball field, and that's a municipal property expense. The third bit is Why Not Work. Why Not Work mows the town hall and in the round schoolhouse, and that's municipal property maintenance.
Okay,
And Why Not Work also mows the 4 ancient cemeteries, as we call them, which we vote $500 per year per cemetery. So every year we've been putting in $2,000 for those ancient cemeteries: Austin Cemetery, Parsons Cemetery, North Cemetery, CEO Cemetery. So
okay.
thinking that the mowing is all coming out of the same fund instead of out of their separate accounts. What do you think
All right.
about that?
So do we have a cemetery maintenance account or no?
We have, it's called the Ancient Cemetery, and we put in $2,000 a year.
But for an expense line item, do we have just a regular cemetery maintenance expense? I'm looking on here and I don't see it.
But we don't,
Oh.
we have the
I see.
Riverside Cemetery and Ancient Cemeteries. I'm not sure how much is in the Riverside Cemetery account. But that's
So-
what Tom Bloom does every other week.
So I'm looking down below and it says for line item for expenses is old cemeteries, lawn maintenance. So I can look into that town property maintenance. I mean, I guess it's too late for this year anyways, because that was last year's figure.
Right. So like I said, it says 0, and the other one says 7,300. So we need to look at town property maintenance, old cemetery maintenance, and you have to look at the Riverside Cemetery.
Right, and that Riverside Cemetery has its own fund, correct?
It should, yes, yes.
So I don't even see like an expense line item for that
I don't-
one.
Yeah.
So there should be an expense line item for cemetery maintenance, I would think, in that
Yeah.
other
for
cemetery fund. That way they can be separated out, so when you're paying for that other one, for the Riverside one, then that gets expensed there, and then the other ones that Why Not does for those 4 cemeteries for the town can come out of this one in the general fund.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, and like I said, the Riverside Cemetery is ordered, is overseen by 5 cemetery commissioners. Well, actually, one has passed away, so there are 4 of us. And again, we should be seeing income from sale of plots.
Yep,
All right.
okay, and Bloom's the only one that mows that one or does any expenses out of that?
That's
Okay.
correct. Bloom does that. Bloom does that and the baseball field.
Okay, but the baseball field would come out of the town fund.
This- Correct.
Okay, I'll have to talk to Judy about that and see where she's been also putting them.
All right, thank you. That would be great.
So do we even need to ask her about the $7,000 number and where that came from?
Well, she's saying that she's gonna check with Judy because it appears that.
Okay.
Don't
Can I offer a thought?
Oh, I can look to see what that 7,000 was. You mean for the expenses for last year?
Yeah, it would the cost that we spent to have the fellow come and take care of the mice in the town building get put under town property maintenance?
Oh, boy.
And the fact that we had
That was
a,
grants, $800 from the election grant.
Story.
it did, but the bill was $1,500, so the remaining amount. Remember, we were looking at $2,000 and maybe it was $1,100. It was $1,100 or $1,500.
I don't remember.
And then there was another bill for $125 from an exterminator who looked at the round schoolhouse and came over here and looked at some what was insect stuff here. So yeah, you're likely, I guess what I'm getting to, you're likely to find those kinds of things on that, I would suspect. Because I don't see any other place where it would go as an expense.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we can always, just add another line or something like town office miscellaneous improvements.
Hmm.
Okay.
Well, either that or change what is town property maintenance to town property lawn mowing, if that's all it is. It seems to me that there ought to be a way of accommodating both lawn
mean, I
mowing
can-
and.
Yep,
I don't know what the other group, what the rest of the board feels like, but you're the treasurer, and you probably see similar things over new things, so. I would trust what your thoughts are on it.
we do one town office for like inside miscellaneous things, and then we have town property ground maintenance for outside stuff. We've got it separated kind of in two categories.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So I could change this one if you wanted to town property ground maintenance and then just make a line for town office maintenance.
Okay, so that makes sense. Inside town office and then property maintenance for the town, which would be the baseball field, round schoolhouse, and this area.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Well, I guess so. So if we had our roof worked on, which we've had worked on by, Mark did some roof work recently. If we were to have hired something, he just painted it. Okay. But so that's, what would that go under? Maintenance?
I think, yeah.
So that would be the, not necessarily interior, and it's not mowing the lawn, but it's municipal maintenance,
Yeah.
office building maintenance.
It's definitely maintenance, because
Okay.
it wasn't a damage, right?
Okay.
I gotcha. I'm just thinking lawns, but you're thinking
Yes,
hardware.
yeah,
Yes, okay, gotcha.
it's not.
So I can just leave it as town office maintenance, and whether it's like the roof or something or inside, would that be good?
That sounds good.
Thank you.
Because I.
Thank you.
Okay. The next thing we were working down on, and it says town trash, let me find it on here.
Town trash removal.
Town trash removal. Is that when Mark takes trash to the dump for like, green up day, or I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, because I don't really see the invoices because Judy processes them all. So I'd have to look it up to find out, but I can look it up and let you know.
Okay, thank you, because, yeah, we weren't sure about what that actually was.
Okay,
And then all right, so we just moved down, we weren't sure about the dues, but you wouldn't be able to predict what the dues changes are, but that would be something. Do you know anything about the dues for VLTC and Wyndham Regional, or did you?
yeah, I don't know as if they send anything in advance to let you know what those dues are, but they don't usually change much at all, if any.
That's what I understand as well.
Same thing down, when we go down to NEMRIC license and support, we're hoping that that's maintaining the same $6,000 that we budgeted in 2023 would be
That sounds
sufficient.
about right, yeah. For them, it does.
Landfill fees, what are landfill fees? Is that associated with our recycling program?
Wyndham Solid Waste usually has like an assessment fee that you have to pay
Oh.
4 times a year. And it's for
Right.
doing all your hazardous things like paints and, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Right.
I recall that hazardous.
And
waste,
they should be sending somebody, actually, they usually send out what their estimate is or their actual assessment is for the year.
That's
I don't
true.
know. What's
That's
that?
true.
Yeah, so I don't
Yes.
know who gets that. I don't know who they email it to or,
I'll reach out to Dan Towler. He is our representative for Wyndham Solid Waste. And ask him if he's gone to any meetings and is aware of
Good
the fee increases. All right. All right, that's good. Law enforcement, we figured if we needed to hire someone for that, we would do. The recycling, we did decrease our budget by $5,000 last year because we got more, for the recycling costs. They were able to make more money on our recycling. We're not sure again with that right now, so that's something we put in as a line item to vote. Separate, so we will probably address that again when we do our articles, where we might want to review that up or down, hopefully down. Insurance and bonds, again, do you think that is, it seems to be a change from, we budgeted quite a bit less than what we actually paid in the 2022 year, or do you think we need to review that in any more detail?
I think Judy's been working with the insurance companies. Maybe I ought to reach out to her and find out what she's got from them.
Okay,
Sounds
But she'd
good.
probably have a good idea.
Yeah,
all right, that's fabulous. All right, then we came down to the old cemeteries again. County tax. How come there's no actual county tax for 2022?
Yeah, I was noticing that, there should be, there definitely should have been.
yeah.
So they usually mail you the bill pretty early on and you have 2 different slots to pay it.
Right, and we did get a thing in the mail about the county tax just recently. And I was just I made a note somewhere that make sure that I guess obviously we do account for it. But we did get a letter saying what our assessment is.
Yeah, they usually give it to you around either June, and then I think you gotta pay either by June or September, I think it is.
Okay.
You got 2 different dates you can pay it by.
All right, I'm gonna look for came from the Wyndham Superior Court County Tax, and I was like, county tax, took the budget paperwork, I probably will find it in a minute. All right, moving on, animal impounding expenses, broadcasting fees. Again, Fact TV, there is no actual expenditure from 2022. But we budgeted the same amount this year.
Josh? Are we no longer required to submit $1,000 to Fact TV for payment of anything or payment of your services?
I don't deal with the payment aspect of it.
Okay, so you wouldn't know anything about how that works with any other
Generally,
town?
Alex deals involved with the payment.
And I can call
I can-
Alex.
Ask him to call you tomorrow if you like.
Yeah, that'd be great. Or I can call him since he'll probably, I can give my number.
Sure. You can just write me a check for $1,000.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't like that one.
That's the same, it's not gonna be the same, whether or not we paid that last year. Fire permits, that's something that, the miscellaneous bank fees. Okay, then we come down to our appropriations, and those, we're not gonna, so those appropriations,
It won't change by much.
We haven't gotten everything in there.
we got a whole bunch of.
Okay, good, that's good.
Yeah.
Have we gotten them? Well, I'm not gonna ask you stupid questions. I am. Have we gotten them all?
I don't know.
I doubt it.
I'm suggesting that the, December meeting we cover the appropriations.
Give them a little bit.
Sounds good.
Like, we told them November 1st, I think was the cutoff.
Something like that,
Yeah. So we're giving them a month. That's plenty.
Okay, so now on page 3 of 6, current taxes, that's something we can handle. State aid remains fairly consistent at 40,000. Highway grants, Better Back Roads and Wyndham Regional,
Yeah.
for 0, so this is grants that are, this is revenue.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, yeah.
Okay, so we don't know, that's revenue.
We have I wanna say. There, we just got in the paperwork for the grants and aid. And we have a grant, I wanna say it's $13,250. So, I will look that up and I'll just email, should I email you or Judy with the number?
With me, that's for the expense, 13,000
No, this is income,
revenue.
yeah.
No,
It's
you-
potential revenue when the job is done.
And then you gotta spend at least that same amount plus your match.
Correct. Is that something we not use here? I'm just wondering where the 16,321 came from. I assumed it was a grant.
Yeah, that would be, revenue that came in from a grant.
Okay, all right. So I do have a number that we probably will get. That I can provide you to put in on that line.
Okay,
All right, next item, this highway salt sand shed. Salt shed grant. Melissa, we have, we are recusing ourselves, or we are terminating our grant for the sand shed because of the excessive costs and the way the economy is. There will be some changes or monies due, but for for 2024, we won't be having this on here. We might.
okay.
Might be saving money
This year,
for.
understandably, by the occurrence of expenses.
Bruce has just mentioned a really good point, and that is a part of terminating it. There are some expenses that we've incurred through Wyndham Regional as the local management partner. Roughly $15,240 for an engineer. There's another $160 that we're gonna get back. That was just on the accounts payable warrant today, but in theory, we're supposed to get that back by filing a claim with Wyndham Regional, who then sends it along to the state, and we ultimately get reimbursed for that. And we don't know what our ultimate costs are gonna be in terms of withdrawing. We know we've gotta pay for what we should because of work already done. We haven't gotten definitive numbers, although we have bids that back when we entered into the program gave us a number. So I guess the board probably is gonna be looking to ask you, how would you want that set up? How are you going to set it up and what do you need from us?
I mean, it'd be a good idea to, if we have to pay that expense out to build it into the budget. It'd be good to know how much roughly we're gonna get back in revenue at the same time.
That's gonna
I
be
don't know.
less than $200.
We're gonna get less than $200 back?
Well, I think we already got the amount we billed for earlier this year. I can go back and look and then send the numbers to you and ask you if we've gotten them, or Judy, whoever you'd like me to.
I
But-
usually log those all in, so I would know
Okay.
for those.
All right. So, so if we get much back, it's gonna be minimal. It will be certainly less than $1,000.
Okay, and then expenses will be a lot more than that.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So that should
Contract-
definitely be in somehow.
yep. Okay,
All right, select board members, in 5 minutes will be an hour
Yeah.
into this. So while we have Melissa here, shall we continue on and then possibly table some of the other agenda
Well,
items?
let's, in consideration of her, ask her what she would like to do.
Okay, Melissa, so in order to not go much past 8:30-ish tonight,
Is there anything looking down the list that you're probably looking at, which is the same one we're looking at, that you think is very important for you to make an observation known to the board, something that you see that is glaring? I know you had made a reference in one of your recent emails that we hadn't been budgeting enough. And I was, yeah, we're short, so that's relatively accurate, but if you saw areas that we need to plan heavier budget amounts for than what we have in the past, that would be helpful.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm just trying to figure out like some of the things that's been put into like the contract services and stuff like that, and whether it should actually really be in retreatment and sealing. Just trying to learn what's going through the line items and,
we're at a point right now where we have not entered into the highway fund, which is going, I think we might need to do that next meeting, and just focus on the highway fund accounts, and
We'll do appropriations in December.
and then we'll do the appropriations in December,
Oh,
and
boy.
then we'll tidy it up the second meeting in
There
December.
we go, we're in good shape then.
Okay.
Because
So
you've written down all the, not to cut off, but you've written down all the, we last the most important points that you were considering anyway.
right,
So we're just tying up loose ends on the
Right.
general part.
I will have to write to the town clerk and ask for his recommendations for changes to the budget that we are addressing right now.
Mhm.
And this way, if we end our budget right now, budget discussion now, we can finish some of the agenda items that are on the tonight's.
Sounds good, sounds good.
All right, Melissa, so we're gonna let you go and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening.
thanks. And when you're doing 2 weeks from now, another budget session then, or?
Yes, 2 weeks from now on the night, on the 16th.
Okay, I will definitely plan on that.
Between now and this time next week, I will have sent to you approximate numbers that are going to be needed in either the income side or the expense side.
We should have-
They're pretty much the expense side. We've got to pay for a road job that we just had done, so there's a $17,000 debt that's most likely going to be owed there. And I'll send you the amounts that it appears Wyndham Regional, et cetera, are going to need, so that we build these into the budget properly.
Okay, cool.
All right, excellent. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, we're gonna continue now on to the road supervisor's report. Pretty much the email I got from Mark. The salt order, should have been delivered today. We wanted us to be aware that Mark called in for a new recycle bin on Thursday at 8:03 in the morning, but it wasn't exchanged until Monday. It was really full and there was a lot of garbage around, but normally they bring the recycle thing Friday and they didn't. It came on
I
Monday.
noticed that.
Okay, it's full already, and I don't know what,
Well, now?
it's full already. I was there on my way home and it's got some hoses in there and buckets. I don't know. I wish I could catch the person who threw some of their stuff in there. I don't know.
Okay, wait a minute. So you're saying there was Wyndham Solid Waste that didn't come with, so Mark had called and they didn't come Fridays.
Yes.
Because I was wondering why it was full on Friday.
Was it Thursday? you called, is that
He
it?
called Thursday at 8:03 and they did not show up until Monday.
And that we had a full dumpster.
Right.
Weekend.
And now it's
Because I
full
waited.
again.
Because I waited until
Today's
yesterday.
Wednesday. It's pretty much, you could fit in a little bit more. Also, he noted he used the new leaf blower on Huddy Mountain Road. It works very good. He loves it. The generator shed is 99% ready. He cut up and moved a pine tree from Kirsch Road that took out a power line. He's repainting the arrow sign at the Green Iron Bridge and will bolt it back up when it's ready. He has still more to do at the school with the wallpaper
What was that?
this
What did you
week.
say?
He still has a little more to do at the school, fixing the wallpaper.
Oh, he's
this
already
week.
done some.
Yes,
Okay,
and he also will be doing more leaf blowing and some road scraping, et cetera. So that was his report.
okay, so he has been working on the wall. Good. All right.
Okay,
I'll email him,
all
because I
right,
was concerned about that. So that's come back next week.
right.
Okay.
All right, so the next
Move on.
thing on here, it appears that the gravel, 4 loads of gravel were delivered. We did get billed and it is in the accounts payable for $200 a load from AS Clark. They delivered the gravel to the, oh no, excuse me, I take that back. That was sand, that was sand. That was another thing, sorry.
That's all right.
All right, so I was gonna ask him if he got the gravel. The salt order is in. We want to talk about the railroad delivery. I don't know if, did you find out how much you wanted to double up on the salt?
Yes, there's
I
no mention about, that I've heard of, about a rail strike. I know that Joe and Marty Walsh, Secretary of Labor, came up with a 24-hour thing about 6 weeks ago and had come up with a contract, and then the union didn't go for it, fell through. So I don't know what's happened since then. I haven't looked.
24% salary they wanted. But, all right, so
So I don't know what.
salt's supposed to have been delivered today.
But just one more point, was it through VLCT or the state that sent us a note that we should be worried about it?
VLTC,
It was VLCT that did.
yeah.
So, where we're at is we're gonna try and get extra salt, yes?
We got a delivery today. I don't know how much our shed can hold. We can't have salt outside the shed. It will
That's
get
right.
damaged. So, we're full.
Okay, great.
And
We're
the
doing what we
sand
do.
came and it's been mixed with mixed with what salt we had according.
Because you have 3 bins. Salt, sand, and mix. Or do you? It's been a while since I've been over there. Okay,
Okay,
sounds great.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Stan.
What was the invoice for $2,646 from AS Clark on our accounts payable?
that was, I'll tell you,
Is that the stone or the?
no, it was, work done the week of 10/24 through 10/28 included trucking 4 loads of stone from Vernon as requested by Mark.
That's what I thought.
So the trucking was $200 a truckload, so it was $800 to bring the stone up, so I was correct.
That sounds
And
right.
he got 98 yards of winter sand that AS Clark delivered and mixed and piled in the shed. And the price for each yard was $27 a yard. And that cost $2,646.
So, I think our minutes of last, meeting indicated that this was a go as long as it didn't exceed $2,000. It's obviously $3,400.
No, 2 different things. The sand, we did a sand contract through bid.
Yeah,
And that's the 98, and that's a $27 per yard.
so that's
above
the
that,
$800?
The $800 is for the gravel, the 1.5 or 1 3/4 inch gravel that would support roads during mud season.
Okay,
And when we ordered it, we said not to exceed $2,000. So the materials should be around $1,200.
so.
We haven't gotten the bill from the material people. Wynn just got his bill in real quick. The material company,
Okay, I won't take up any more time, but
the Vernon Rock Yard will bill the town and will probably be in our bill in the next couple of days.
So when was the discussion about the $2,646 cost? When did that occur?
That was we put it out an RFP. for this,
We did.
yeah, plowing and road sand.
That's for that.
Plowing contract was won by AS Clark.
Yeah,
And the road sand was. won by
Okay,
AS
I
Clark.
see what you're
Remember
saying.
we had the gravel.
Yeah,
Found the
yeah,
bag after the
yeah,
fact.
thank you.
So that's, those are,
Thank you.
that's,
It's so long ago, I forgot all about it.
Okay, salt sand shed grant discussion, Sam?
We've already gone through that,
Yep.
we're withdrawing, from it. So, the chips will fall wherever they're gonna fall. In place of that, however, I wonder if I could substitute the situation that was brought up at the last meeting about there appeared to be a need for a reappraisal in the next 2 years. And I did some research and it, there's no way that could be determined at this point in time.
Helen Holt just told me when I saw her a couple of weeks ago that she was notified that we are on their radar. In the next couple of years, we progressed up the list and the numbers have triggered the reappraisal, the townwide reappraisal, probably in 2025, something like that.
So,
let's see how-
so they're doing it on a schedule irrelevant to whether or not you need to.
Well,
Good
our
point.
numbers went over what,
It's
Our
not,
CLA is fine,
our CLA is fine and our COD is fine.
yeah. So,
I saw.
I saw
There-
that,
You
what
know,
you said.
there's no need to be boxed into a corner to do it,
No.
unless the town has a different philosophy, which
I
is
agree.
they're gonna tell you when you do it, because they wanna,
I'm gonna ask Helen to share that information with the
Yeah.
select board because
Absolutely.
she just mentioned it to me.
Okay,
yeah.
because that doesn't seem.
When our district rep came around, the 7 years that I was doing it, the question was, well, this is your CLA, this is your COD. Matter of fact, we didn't even have to say no or not. She said, it looks like you're okay. You comfortable? Yes.
Have a nice day.
Save the town some money.
Yep,
And so we didn't do it. We didn't, there wasn't one done for, I don't know, 12 or 17 years,
Yes,
18 years.
quite a
The
while.
one before that was done before we did it in 2012 or thereabouts,
It was a
or
lot.
2007, had been done 18 years before.
So 2007 was the last time it was done.
Yeah,
All right, I will ask Helen to share what information she told me about, that I brought up at the last meeting. Yes,
We have money in reappraisal fund, how much is it?
roughly 41,000.
Holy
And even
smokes.
if, back when I did it, it was $60 a parcel. Now, even if it's
Don't-
2/3 of that, at $100 a parcel, you got enough. Because you only have 320 parcels.
Oh, and we're not, it's a dedicated fund, obviously,
Yep,
but, excuse me, are we forced to put in a certain amount of money, or is this something we can adjust?
well, the money that's supplied by the state, we get, I don't know, $3 a parcel or something like that. It's a
Every year.
minimal amount every year. That's what's funding that amount.
Okay.
When in cases
We
where
don't
you
have
know
to
there's
match
one,
it.
we don't have to match it. There's no requirement to that. What they're requiring is common sense on the part of the town. If we got close to doing it, or I should say, the statistics were saying we should be looking at doing it soon, then the town, if we're gonna be short, we would then ask for, in the budget, a sufficient amount of money for that year, and if we need to do it a second year, to split the increased costs that we're anticipating, so we don't bomb the town all in one.
that's what I was concerned about.
Well, we're at $41,000.
So we're not, and when in fact, you look at the interest rates are increasing, which is slowing down the property transfer rate. It's going to mean that it's unlikely that the property values are gonna continue to increase on the rate they have.
Right,
So,
I'll ask her because.
That's just sort of-
Personally,
yeah,
it's just a conversation and it was like, oh yeah, we got a letter and.
and generally, the
Okay.
feds increased the interest rate again today for 3/4. So
percent.
Powell seems to think there's gonna be less from here on out. But they're conservative and they do what they want.
Next issue was bond bank discussion. Did you get the email that I sent you regarding the
Yeah.
summary?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Is there any question about it or
No.
anything for the answer?
Oh, right, yes.
We have two choices.
And
That's what we want to do.
Smart said was that they're using, she goes, it has been used, some of the money has been used for roads already.
I don't believe that.
Right.
I'd like to know when and where, because I haven't seen it any time that I've been on the board. Because nobody knew what we could and couldn't.
Well, as long as I've been on the board. That money's not been touched,
That's right.
as far as I know. let's say, well, it'll be 9 years.
Well, we'd be looking at an odd amount and somebody would replace it in the same year because there's always been
Well-
an equal increment as far as I know.
Well, what I'm looking
But
at,
that's another discussion.
what I'm looking at it is to buy, you spend all the money on solar panels. That was meant as a joke. What I really did was- is that 80, you said we were 90 grand, we thought 90 grand shortfall, correct, Doc? With FEMA, with the money that they owe us.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, I can't do apples and oranges with FEMA and the road and the
What I'm
bond.
getting at is if we're in the hole in the road fund for $90,000, we can borrow that money temporarily until that's paid back, or choose which way we want to do that at all in order to balance the budget, rather than hitting the town with another increase in the municipal, in the total municipal.
So that's
budget.
something to
My
talk
sense
about.
is that they were all on the same page in regard that we obviously have monetary needs. We have potential emergency at any point depending on the weather with our budget. And it is nice to know, nice to have realized that not only do we have ARPA money, but we have this other money
That's
aside.
our money,
And
yeah.
Dot made her, and when I mentioned this to her, I think earlier last week, in terms of an email saying, I'll look into this. Her response was, well, we've been collecting from the citizens $10,000 a year. We'll just continue to do that. That's what we've been doing,
We do 20.
but we haven't used any of the money. By continuing to do that, we can take all of the money out of there, spend it now for a vehicle, heavy equipment,
Wait,
road
wait,
repair,
I don't know.
whatever. We don't have to swap it
I
in.
don't understand.
We
I
have
understand.
been budgeting the principal and interest
I
for
was thinking
that
something
debt
different.
to the taxpayers. So that's why I say some of
You're
the,
talking about the payment. I'm sorry, John, I'm just trying to understand.
the payment,
You're talking about
the
the payment, right?
10,000
The annual
And it's-
payment product,
3,000 of it's interest or something. Go ahead.
roughly.
and
Yeah.
10,000. We've been
Right,
budgeting, we've
right.
been putting it in the budget to collect through taxes.
Right.
My question then is, if we haven't used any of the other, the principle that we are holding, how much should we have started with and where has it gone to bring it down to? where it's
Well,
at?
with
we only had $100,000 in that one account.
Okay, I
Because we
take it back.
spent the other 100. And for the first 10 years, we chose the town, that is, not you, we here.
Right.
The town has chosen to
Budget
create in the
to pay
budget $10,000
Right.
plus whatever the interest cost was based on the chart that's in our file.
Right.
But we're now at the point where the money that we had used has gone its route. And we paid that back. When we spent it, we spent 100,000.
Right.
We had 100,000 left,
Right.
and the town took the posture of, we're gonna pay out of our pocket as we go along, that 100,000 we used.
Uh-huh.
Now we're left with the remaining 100,000 that we didn't use.
Mhm.
So we got two choices. We can use that money for some other purpose and continue to bill $10,000 a year plus interest to make the annual payments. And over 10 years, it'll
Or
be
take the
slowly
money
paid off.
out, or take the money out of the 80, 90,000 left to pay it off over the given time.
Well, that was my example. Yeah, that my example was we can take it and continue to bill the $10,000
Yearly.
yearly.
That's past practice.
And as we have done, and nobody will know the difference other than what
Right.
we've exposed or not exposed, but made clear.
But we're not changing the budget.
Or you can simply, at some point, you gotta use that money, because if you're gonna continue to pay it, it's gonna just be a dollar amount sitting there. It's
Well-
not getting any interest, unfortunately, I don't know.
Not to be flippant, I'm money hungry too, but the 80,000.
I didn't do a good job explaining.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying. And what you're basically saying is sooner or later, it's gotta be a determination, what we're gonna do with the, whatever it is, $80,000-$90,000.
Yeah,
I'm just suggesting for the short term, that if we're running a deficit, so that we don't have to make that up in our budget for next year, because
Spend it on that, because then you won't get it back.
I just say spend it on that, and what I meant was borrow it and then repay it. I'm talking about the FEMA money, I'm talking about the money that we're in the hole from FEMA. I'll agree, I don't know the road budget worth a damn, without asking a lot of questions. But what I'm getting at is if we're in the hole because of FEMA and we got FEMA money coming back, that's gonna pay that off. In the meantime, we can borrow that money, and Melissa can understand that, I'm sure, to pay that off, to keep the road fund in balance. And then when that money comes back in, we can put it back in its reserve fund. There's a lot of ways to skin that. My bottom line is try to keep from increasing the municipal budget like we did last year, which we were forced to do because of all the expenses we had. We really don't want to do that again. I really would like to say to the townspeople when we get into March issue, good chance they'll be in person this year and say, look, last year was an aberration. We did our absolute best, but we couldn't do anything about it. This year, we got creative and we're gonna try and balance this, but our level fund the budget. And that's what I'm speaking pointedly.
Everyone's got the point. We know what we can do, we know what the options are, and it's a matter of, I think, prioritizing with the ARPA,
Yeah.
my personal view, the ARPA money and this money. What are the options? What do we want to do? How do we want to make the town better?
Mhm.
Should we get a piece of equipment from Mark? Should we not?
Yes,
We got the
Yes.
FEMA money, we're not getting. We don't need
Yes.
to make those decisions tonight.
no,
But
we
we
can't.
should, as a part of finishing up this budget, have an idea what our priorities are, so we know what. And
Excellent.
that's all I have to say.
Yes, can I just, I jump to that? Once we're done somewhere around mid-December, I'm talking about the numbers that we're compiling for the budget. At that point in time, well, I believe you're gonna make a representation of what you thought you had for instance, of the optimized, which I'm very interested in hearing, especially with you two, Dot, because we already made this list up. I don't want to get off on a tangent, I'm not going to. And we can sit that all down on a piece of paper and compare that to what we gotta do for our budget and figure that out after we've done all our work on the budget. Right through the front, right, I mean, after.
The reality of why I did that ARPA feedback to the meeting house committee, in addition to letting them know we are thinking about it, these are the issues we're facing. For me, it was not only an exercise in doing that, but it was an exercise in me listing what we've talked about. So that may be able to be incorporated into our decision-making process when it comes time. And one of the thoughts I had was taking each of those 9 or 10 topics that I had, putting a label for it in the middle of the page, and on the left side, minimum amount needed to meet that, the maximum amount to meet that. So we have some concept of dollar amounts, and the process we can mix and match and without going in more detail, because we should leave.
Yes, right.
All right, we're gonna,
That'll be at the end, though,
Okay,
after we
we're
got the
gonna-
budget, yeah, okay.
all right, so we can then move from the highway grants to building commissioners.
The only thing I had is my concern about the wallpaper being done. And since he's already started, which is great, he understood because I even looked in the minutes. That has to be done by the 7th. I'm finishing.
November.
Yes, I'm finishing my end by this weekend because I have to fix 6 tiles. And I'm gonna do some groundwork after I see you tomorrow and get that all straightened out. But I don't want them walking on it after I do it Friday afternoon, so it's just for the weekend, ground it, done, end of story, take your pictures, have a nice day. And basically, I wanted the same thing to happen with the wallpaper, and I was concerned that he hadn't started, but he said he has. So I'm gonna email him just to remind him, we have to have it done by the weekend, because 7th is.
By this weekend,
Yes,
not knowing what the needs are of his family.
yeah,
If you're in a bind and need someone to help with wallpaper, I'd be willing to chip in and help with what possible.
okay, thank you. Or I can just ask Stephanie if they'll consider an extension.
Yeah.
Because of the situation, well, let's see what he has to say.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna undercut, Mark might already have a plan, because Mark's smart, he
No,
understands.
no,
what's
I
going on.
understand that. I'm just issuing you a backup. You know,
Thank you.
if all things
Appreciate
fail, I'm here to
Okay.
help.
Thank you, and if I have a problem with Mark, I'll talk to Stephanie about it, and if Stephanie says, well, then we'll entertain a plan B. But that's basically all I have, we're gonna get that finalized, finished up, and that's all I have.
Yeah, I must say, just as a 30 seconds comment about using the 30 seconds. I'm sure the guy that's requiring this is probably familiar with the fact that there is a shortage of workers. And there's a supply chain issue. So if they get a comment that it's not gonna be done by the 7th, and even know that the person that was gonna do it has a a mother who is not doing very well right now and has a heart attack in the future,
Mhm.
I would almost bet the person will give us an extension.
And every once in a blue moon, this has happened, this is the second time since I've been involved with that building, I believe, that they, all of a sudden this inspection happens. And they don't say anything about anything that's good in the building, but they sure do find a little peculiar stuff that doesn't really have a hell of a lot to do with the thing. But anyway, that's my opinion, but we've got a plan going forward and I'll exercise it. That's it for me.
All right, move on. There's no report from the town clerk. Select board report. RFP for Putney Mountain paving, all-state construction bill. I just wanted to say that I had promised that I was going to review with the FEMA person what the deal is, and he did not get back to me. We had a new transition to, I mentioned before, his name is Patrick Donlan, and he, you know, he was gonna check with the records and go through, because what we have. So I don't have any answer for this, but my concern here is the all-state bill. I read what you have here, Stan, and I'm like, it makes me a little concerned why companies sign a contract and then they don't read the contract, or they don't fill out the work, you know, the overage.
Maybe they're dealing with a lot of towns that are sloppy, and we're not one of them.
But we're not, but we didn't
Was that
get,
not fair?
okay. I think our problem was
Okay.
the
Maybe I'm wrong.
RFP that was sent over from the road commissioner was incomplete. So that the work that we thought was going to get done didn't get done, and that's why when we took the lower bid. I don't know, not.
I would think that as a part of discussing that, if we're gonna get into why it happened, there needs to be an executive.
Yes.
Okay,
Because there's a lot that happened there that I personally thought, no way should that have happened. But,
okay,
and it's not one person. You look at the trail of emails. Yes,
Okay.
they looked at it. Yes, I looked at it. Yes, I looked at it. So there's issues here, but that's irrelevant. The fact of the matter is, if this were to be done right, our representative should have been there while they're doing the job to say, you're going over at that time.
Yeah, they did not contact Mark to let him know that they were coming in to do
Oh,
that work.
okay.
Well, Mark knew they were coming either this day or this day, but for whatever reason, it wasn't coordinated because that's what we were told over.
Like
there.
you said,
The question then becomes is, and I'm willing to make the call, let's call all states, say, why did you do that?
Okay.
Why did you do that? Why didn't you call us? You know, there's a work order change required if you're going to exceed the RFP. What they did not comply with the RFP. But the thing in the email was Mark apparently called them and went over the RFP with them. So it shouldn't have happened if you really trust the email.
okay,
So the end result was from Stan, legal expenses might exceed the cost of the overage.
Yeah.
We still did not, my question to that FEMA is, we still need to repair 2 lanes, 100 feet of 2 lanes.
Now, where did that RFP come from? They're the requirement and demand that it did not appear in the one we approved here at the board meeting. Is there one out there that we don't have in our possession? I noticed that the 2 RFP orders that paperwork that you gave me for 2 jobs, each of them has a number described specifically what was required to be done. But those were issued the 22nd and the 27th of August of this year. So there may not have been one. But if
It was part of the Putney Mountain repair. Okay. When the damage was done and FEMA wanted to have an estimate, wanted us to get an estimate, what's it gonna cost, what's it gonna cost? In order to get it done, Mark was able to contact a representative, and Bays and Brothers came out and measured and determined what the poundage and the amount of material for the Grassy Road and the FEMA project on the mountain. What they communicated did not get put into the RFP. So the last 2 lanes of 100 feet of traffic that was removed during the storm is still dirt. And that's FEMA, storm related. It's the more.
It's all covered by
already-
FEMA some way, somehow.
Yeah, if we had given the both contracts to these, and it would have probably been completed because they knew the whole side of it, but the other company did not, they did not come and see it. I
Well,
don't know what to tell you.
what they were given by the town, and
It's-
I'm feeling, I don't want to say taken advantage of, it. I feel in a remote weak position is, I sent the contract out, I sent the RFP out. Set their bid as a representative of the committee, and it turns out that the RFP was not. So they've got in writing what we asked them to do, they exceeded it. Although apparently it is still not what we should have had as a work order. So the ultimate cost to finish it, we had to hire another firm, a small company, to come in and do it, may not exceed the original bid $5,000. So we
That's
don't
correct.
know. So the question is, are we in any trouble? If we paid for the job and knowing that it's not done and we're having to have someone else come in, will they accept 2 jobs?
That's what I asked, that's my question, and I'm waiting on you, so I'm gonna review it.
Okay.
So it's gonna be Bill A and Part A and Part B for the Putney Mountain, and that's what that would be.
It's currently there.
It's so odd, so I
Okay.
would suggest paying this,
I don't see how we cannot.
sending out, giving. So I should write to Judy and tell her to, so, because we,
I
The check
would
was
ask
cut
you
last month.
I'm gonna throw this out,
Go
I'm not gonna keep you here longer, but would it hurt for me to call Allstate and say, this is what our RFP said, and this is what you did,
Okay,
why? And see if they'll adjust in some manner, shape, or form an amount lower, a halfway point between what they originally did. And
Maybe they
if that would
compromise.
allow-
worst they can
It's-
do,
it's a-
say no.
before you send that check back. you have to-
Okay, so we're gonna hold the
Okay.
check, all right,
Both
okay,
parties.
all states, excellent, thank you so much.
Thank you, this is, I'm sure, frustrating as hell,
Okay,
and not only that, but the frustration being.
we don't have to do reappraisal.
Okay, so were any other reports, the time clock?
I've noticed, did you get, you've got noticed, we've got the reports from our assistant treasurer of pay checks that have resulted from July 1st to a week ago, I believe. And you look at the number of pay periods that have gone through in that timeframe, and there's a significant disparity.
Oh, geez. I didn't
Which
think of
means that one of the fears that some people had about the current scenario is that there was gonna be a delay in time filings, so that a timely payment can be made to the individual that we're talking about here.
Ooh.
And my thought was, would it be so much easier to have a time clock, have them come in, punch in, the end of the day,
Well.
punch out, and then if
You
you
have
need
to
a
do it for
further.
everyone. You have to
Yeah.
have
You can't just do
everyone.
it for one.
So we're gonna have to correct the one issue.
I'm
And
gonna
we-
table
and
this
this,
one to forward
yeah,
because
this issue's come up before, right, Doc, in the
That's
past.
required an evaluation of employee.
Yeah, well, we gotta have to.
Okay.
I was really against having,
I started to mention it, but I didn't know what else to do.
yeah, okay, let's move
All
on.
right.
Thank you for your input.
Our priority list, can we table it?
Yeah,
If you all could send that with any addition to this, Doc.
Well, yeah.
Look at it. See, so, that's what I'm looking at here.
yeah.
Yeah,
The old form.
yeah, and I have.
If you have any, I'd like to hear what you all think. And I would like to think about it in my own mind, what I think is a priority. This is like you would like to think about in your own mind as a priority, and the same with Doc.
All right, but we're
And
gonna
we can-
table it today.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
All right,
But if you all get in the mood, you pick it up, send it through, so I can compile it, and we can talk about
Just
it.
exchange with each other what our thoughts are.
And figure it out after the budget's done.
okay. All right, moving quickly on, concerned about mischief night, I shared that email with everyone with the eggs and such. Inner fire land use permit came in, Guy Tanza got a copy of it, it's been attached to their contract for inner fire, they requested an extension for their Act 250, which has been granted. The auditor's workshop, I sent an invitation out, when I sent it out last year, I was told that they didn't need to go to anything, so. But anyway, that was done. They've also been reminded that we're ready for our audit, like Melissa, Judy, and I have each reached out. As far as regular mail, local solutions, housing needs, there's a workshop in Wilmington, 9 to 3 on the 1st of December. We have an appropriations request from SEPCA. I'll let you look at it. We have an appropriations request from the Moore Free Library. I'll let you look at it.
Appreciate that, but I would just.
We're gonna put them all together and follow the youth services came in, it's an appropriation request. The rest of these are thank yous for the companies that have received our appropriations recently, but I'll give them back to Judy. Okay,
And if we can put all the current ones in one,
she's gonna put them all together for
and
December.
then we can talk about.
Last but not least, if you have time, we'll do the the minutes.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
It shouldn't take that long.
Page 105, anybody have any changes to the minutes on page 105? So,
I
take
do.
your time.
I have nothing on paper.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
Page 2 of
I
5,
had one.
Bruce,
Paragraph 5, it refers to Mark Bills as patching the roof. He painted the roof, not patching.
okay. So paragraph 5, Mr. Bills painted the roof,
not
you
patching.
didn't patch. It says patch the greater shed roofing.
Yes, he did that.
Well, that's what it says, patches the.
I thought he said patch the roof in the town
Patches
office.
the greater shed roofing and plans to paint the town office roof. Okay, paint the town office roof instead of patch the town office roof. Okay,
That's all for me.
I have one, if it's time for me.
Go ahead.
Under B, Highways Grants Report. 1, 2, the third paragraph down, line number 3. Delete the words "and Mr. Noga be named."
and
And in-
Mr. Noga be named. Delete.
Yeah, delete that and insert be removed. Leave in the words after Noga be named, leave in the words as contact and delete the S on contact. And delete the next 4 words with one other person.
So it should read suggesting that Ms. Maggio be removed as contact and had inquired as to why this change had been made.
Correct, that's what it should have read.
Okay,
And the next sentence, the very last line, delete the word would, WOULD, and insert the word should, SHOULD.
my concern with this, with Wyndham Regional is they're using my personal email and I've written them to please use the select board email, because if it's my personal email, sometimes it
Don't get looked at.
gets lost. Any other on page 2? Page 3 of 5,
I have one.
Bruce?
At the very bottom, you'll see appointment recommendations to the historic ground schoolhouse. It's about 6 or 7 lines up from the bottom.
To appoint,
Appoint recommendations to the historic Brown Schoolhouse Committee.
yes,
Lori now might touch your name spelled wrong.
okay,
There's a U in there that shouldn't be at the end.
It should be MARTOCCI.
TOCCI,
No,
Matucci is,
MARTOCCI, I believe.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Matucci is spelled MARTOCCI, not,
UI.
okay, very
Okay,
good.
that's all I have for everything.
I have, do you have any?
I got them.
Okay, then I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. 6th paragraph up from the bottom that begins with the word Ms. Maggio noted a question about reallocating funds for town expenses. That's the paragraph that I'm concerned with. And it's at the end of that paragraph. It looks like it's all one line, one sentence. And at the end, delete the period and add the words over a 20-year period.
So the sentence should read, expenses about $200,000 in capital improvements to the energy efficiency of the Little Peanuts building over a 20-year period.
Correct. I believe that's what the chart that was produced by the firm that inspected the building back when. And you impressed me by remembering that that's what they had recommended, a 20-year period.
Right.
That it would take to do all that work. My only other change would be after E, Select Board Chair Maggio. At the end of the sentence that says, Ms. Maggio noted the anniversary and suggested a celebration, possibly the Memorial Garden. I believe we then followed up with the words for next spring.
Yeah.
Yes.
So delete the period after the word garden and insert the words for next spring.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Okay, page 4 or 5,
Nope,
page 5 or 5,
yes.
Dan?
After set agenda for November 2nd, 2022, the first bullet should have the word Harris Hill pavement, not Harris Hill. So it's HARRIS Hill pavement.
I didn't even catch that, Iris, okay. Very good. I make a motion that we approve the minutes as amended. May I have a second?
Yep.
Seconded by
Whatever.
Bruce Mello. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from October 19th as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All approved, the minutes are approved as amended. Very quickly, the agenda, we're gonna do the culvert, get grants and aid. We'll talk about the time clock and payment and ARPA and budget.
We don't need to do time clock, do we? Based on
No.
our comment.
No, we're doing ARPA.
Okay.
But ARPA.
ARPA and budget,
No,
no ARPA.
no ARPA.
No
No.
ARPA.
I suggested we wait till we got through the budget and we
Okay,
compile our ideas.
Okay, okay.
That's my suggestion.
all
Yeah,
right.
that
This is
sounds
a-
really prudent.
And I'll
This is
check stuff
confusing
out
too.
and you guys, I would like to ask though, just to make it easier, because it takes me a while to. I love your suggestions when you want to incorporate things into the agenda, but if you could tell me it should go under new business or
Okay.
grants or,
Oh.
Town, you know, where I should put it, because I spend a lot of time trying to figure out where it best
Put it.
goes.
Okay.
All right, other than that, I would make a motion that we adjourn this evening's meeting,
Second.
and the meeting is adjourned at 8:52 PM. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.
All right, Josh, you're out of here at a reasonable time again.
Poor Josh, he was in keying me, I come all the way up here, and then he has to go back.
Yes, I know.
Go home, Josh. We got enough for you. You've been talking about your own home.
Oh, yeah, this is like